Thanks to YouTube and the NFL, I had the opportunity to go to the NFL Combine for the first time. And honestly, I didn't really know what to expect. I actually have my own room. It's fancy! And Johnny said he was here, and then he realized he was at the wrong hotel and he's 25 minutes away, so yeah. But when we got there, the access that we were given, well, it was incredible. Johnny and I got to be right on the field next to players, and we even got some awesome vests, which we unfortunately could not keep, but it was multiple days of getting some amazing footage, including every drill, and of course, the 40-yard dash. So for about 7 hours a day, we got to witness athletes do insane things, and we had the best seat in the house, which was usually on the ground. But that's not all, because we also got to attend the media sessions in the morning. And if you're unfamiliar with how the Combine works, basically each day there's a schedule posted that contains where and when the prospects will be speaking to the media. From there, it's a little bit of a free-for-all, trying to ask questions to each prospect, things like if they've spoken to certain teams, how they stand out against other prospects, or if they believe in space.
You guys are discussing that you don't believe in.
Nah, I don't believe in space.
And shortly after we arrived, we found out that we would be able to do some quick interviews with prospects. And that led to some great conversations. I've heard you spoken to the Green Bay Packers. How was that experience?
It was real fun and real chill because they asked me who one of my favorite corners I'm out of my game after, and he's a cheesehead, so Jair Alexander, so we got a good laugh about it.
Let's go.
Man, they're a great group of guys, man. I talk to multiple people on their staff, man. They always have a smile on their face, like they know what they're doing when it comes to football, man. And like I said, my brother's there, man. They talk about my brother all the time, bro. It's just, I can tell it's very lovely over there for sure.
Yeah, honestly, I grew up in Chicago, so I was used to the Packers, whooping our ass a couple times. But
you grow up as a little kid, especially where I'm from, playing sports. You watch this on TV, watch the NFL on TV, and you're here.
It's everything I dreamed of. I've dreamed of coming to the Combine. I've dreamed of going to the NFL. So, it's a blessing, truly a blessing from God.
Some days I kind of sit back in my room and I kind of be like, dang, I'm here. But other days, I try not to celebrate the small wins. That's something I really live by is, when you celebrate the small wins, you get complacent, you get too comfortable. I don't want to do that. I know that I got to keep defeating the odds. I got to keep attacking each and every day.
This is no area to stop. This is no area to pause. This is an area where I feel like I'm supposed to press the gas even more and go faster and work harder.
I'm excited. I'm excited for a new journey. I'm excited to earn my stripes. And so the new legacy starts, the old one finished, and I'm happy with the old legacy.
Going into this next process, I have the same goals, and it's just a blessing to be in this opportunity, in this position I have.
Now, something I hear often is that the Combine is just for die-hard football fans, which makes sense, considering you're often watching athletes run drills for about 7 hours a day. I get it. That's pretty niche. And quite honestly, the Combine and the draft were something that years ago I wasn't as invested in. Now, over the years, that is something that has changed drastically. The draft has become one of my favorite times of the year. And when people ask me why, it's stories like Ray Davis that get me even more invested in this game. Last week, a great article by Zach Kiefer was released that covered the story of Kentucky running back Ray Davis. And if you watched Ray play, you know what kind of player he is. Something that Scooter, a Florida fan, got to witness as Ray ran for about 280 yards against the Gators. But this story went deeper than football. It detailed Ray's childhood dealing with being homeless, growing up in foster care, and ultimately getting accepted into Vanderbilt and going on to have a great collegiate career. Whether you're a scout, media member, creator, fan, you all have different reasons for why you love the draft and the Combine. But this is mine. It's about the people. I had the opportunity to speak with Ray Davis at the Combine, and before we started, just like I did with each player we talked to, I congratulated the hell out of them, and for Ray, expressed my utmost respect for the journey he had been on. Because each of these players, most around 20 years old, have been honing their craft for almost their entire lives, and were now on the doorstep of getting into the NFL, something that had been a childhood dream for the majority of people here. The road that each of them took to get here was different, and while it might not show up on a stat sheet or provide insight as to where they'll be drafted, I think football is at its best when you can get insight into the people that play, coach, or cheer for the game that we all love. For example, seeing storylines revolve around Caleb Williams and other prospects in real time, and seeing how the internet takes those stories was crazy to me. Prospects were asked questions like if they were afraid to compete, or there was an attempt to get a viral clip, many coming to the detriment of the player, and honestly, that just never sat well with me. And that's why, while I definitely had to stay up until 1:30 in the morning prepping for prospect questions, I felt like it was disrespectful not to. Not just to the players who were giving up their time, but also to the many media members or creators who were still trying to get into this room that I had spent 9 years trying to get into. Because while the players are obviously the star of the show, for the media, the Combine is a yearly get-together where you could run into scouts, other members of the press, coaches, as everyone's networking and trying to reconnect while they're here in Indianapolis. And seeing that firsthand was definitely an experience. Watching Sean Payton or Mike McDaniel walk around the bar that I was in, that was definitely an experience. But it was at that bar that I was actually able to meet former Packers defensive coordinator, Joe Barry. Now, if you've watched my content for the past 3 years, you would know I wasn't the biggest fan of Joe Barry's coaching. Look, literally on the top right, they're playing about 10 yards off. Yup, and they throw it to Addison, and they get a first down. You gotta be kidding me, man. Dude, how do you leave him that open? Fire Joe Barry into the sun. And so on Wednesday night, I was at the bar with Johnny when I locked eyes with former Packers defensive coordinator, Joe Barry. He walked up to us, I introduced myself, and he shook my hand and leaned in close and said, "I know who you are." And it was at this point that I figured this conversation was gonna go poorly, and rightfully so. I've always tried to keep any criticisms for coach or players related to on-the-field play, but there are times over the years that I have fallen short. And so here I was, ready to get an earful from the former defensive coordinator of my favorite team. Instead, it turns out that Joe Barry knew me from 30 and 30, from the charitable endeavors that we do on this channel, and of course, being a Packers fan. I'm also pretty sure he knew about the criticisms too. The next 10 minutes, I had the best conversation with him. We talked about his time in Green Bay, how much he loved the organization, how much he wished that things had turned out better, and how when he landed in Miami for his new coaching gig, it was a cool 78 degrees, and how that wasn't too bad. And in those 10 minutes, I got an understanding of why Joe Barry was held to such a high regard, why Matt LaFleur always spoke highly of him. Because after spending some time with the best athletes, coaches, scouts, and media members on the planet, and especially in this business, it came down to what I have learned over the past 9 years of making content. It's about the people. And so for about a week, I got to get an on-field view as to what the NFL Combine is. It's where we celebrate the accomplishments of these incredible athletes as they look to fulfill their dreams. Like Xavier Worthy breaking the 40-yard dash record. And it's also a place where old friends reconnect, some after not seeing each other for an entire year. It's given me a deeper appreciation of the sport and especially the Combine and the drafting process. Because regardless of where Ray Davis goes, whether it's to the Packers or not, or any of the prospects I talk to, wherever they end up, you get to know their story and you're rooting for them. That's what makes this game great. And it's one of the reasons why I love this sport so much. Because while the emphasis of the Combine is going to be the numbers that come out of it, how fast someone ran or how high they jumped, I got to meet some incredible people last week, and their stories are why I love the Combine.
Now I see it, now I'm drifting to the light, falling from the sky, reaching for new heights, lift up now I rise, flashing through my life. Do you want to see me cry? Will I see you in another life? Will I see you in another life? Will I see you in another life? Yeah, yeah, ooh, yeah.
And that's a wrap on the Combine.
Receiver one, baby.
He's not getting the call.
Receiver one.